I'm Derek.
And I'm Noah, and you're listening to A Bite Of,
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
And today we are finally talking about WandaVision, Episode 5. I'm so excited. Things are getting super crazy and more confusing, and I love every second of it.
Oh yes, things are getting blown wide open.
So before we get into the episode, just a friendly reminder, we got Patreon going, we got merch, we got Discord, we got a YouTube channel now. So if you go to abiteofpod.com, you can find all of those links there, or just scroll down in this description of this episode you're listening to and, click on whichever one you want.
Yeah, you could watch us be silly and see our faces.
Yeah, that's weird.
Really weird.
Yeah. If you want a visual component of this podcast, go over there to that YouTube channel and subscribe there too. So
thank you, please. Thank you.
All right, before we get into this episode, we did want to recap the last episode of WandaVision. So episode 4.
We interrupt this program.
Yeah. We were interrupted from the program of Westview, and we got the Darcy and Jimmy episode.
Yeah, it was really exciting to see them reintroduced, have them come back, see them be the team that's coming together to really figure this thing out. Because the sword people that were there before, no good.
So we get to see the timeline from the outside and bring us to current present of what's happening outside of Westview. We already knew what was happening. We knew Sword was involved. We got to see Hayward, which I don't trust him at all. Monica was in it. We got to see the blip, what happens when people came back. So that brings us to our current moment.
Yes. So, of course, before we get into our current moment, a lot of time jumping is happening right now. We want to say spoiler alert. So if you have not watched episode 5 of WandaVision, please stop now. But if you have, come join us.
Go watch it, come back, and then... But you know this already. Kicking off WandaVision episode 5 on this very special episode, ...
Yes. So, of course, we are in the 80s now, and one of the best parts of WandaVision is that they are really kind of taking aspects from amazing sitcoms throughout American history. And it seems like with this episode of WandaVision, we're kind of picking from 3 different ones, especially in the opening part. So it seems the episode itself really feels hammered down in family ties. But if we look at the other influences in the opening credits, we see that there's Growing Pains and Full House in there. So Family Ties ran from 82 through 89. It was about the Keatons, who were 1960s radicals, and they find themselves in sort of Reagan-era America trying to raise a traditional suburban family. And so basically they want kids like them, but it turns out their son, Alex, played by Michael J. Fox, is a young Republican.
Oh.
Yeah, and then their daughter, Mallory, she's kind of just likes boys and going shopping. And then there's the youngest daughter who likes... she's studious and she wants to just be a normal kid. Then later on, they introduce a 4th child named Andrew. Okay. Then in Growing Pains, we have the Seaver family. So there's a psychologist and his wife, Maggie Seaver, who's a journalist. She's going back to work. He moves his practice into their home. And they also have 3 kids with differing personalities. And then later on, they introduce another youngest daughter, Chrissy.
So it's the same story.
Exactly. And then in Full House, we have Danny Tanner, who's a widower. His best friend and his, I think, brother-in-law, Uncle Jesse is his brother-in-law, come to help raise his 3 daughters. Uncle Jesse later gets married, and then he has more kids. He has the twins.
Full House.
Yeah, so it's a Full House. So this really, in this 80s era, is pulling it's always like these familial situations inside these homes, dealing with day-to-day life stuff with other hijinks in there. One thing I do want to point out that in all 3 of these series, a baby is introduced, and then a season later, they're 6 years old.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's the introduction of a new character, which is something that a lot of shows do. Like when things are going down, there's a wedding or a death, a very special episode of some sort, or a birth. And then it's well, we don't actually want to deal with a baby, so we're going to make them 7.
Oh my God. And also, fun fact, I'm not sure if people know this, on our Discord, somebody had just literally this morning pointed this out, but they were I didn't know Elizabeth Olsen was a sister to the Olsen twins. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she does not really look like them.
There's something in the eyes. They have the same eyes.
Right. So in Full House, the Olsens were in that one, and it's cool that she's playing a show, playing homage to the show that her sisters were in.
Yeah, well, what's funny is trivia-wise, Full House was really written around the middle sister when it first started, Stephanie Tanner. But then the Olsen twins got so popular, they recensored it and made it about Michelle.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense because they're funny. And
Yeah. I mean, Stephanie was sort of funny in the beginning, but then they were like, guess who's cute? The Olsens.
So that brings us to our episode of WandaVision. It's the 80s. We see this very clearly with the house. So the cool thing about them doing these sitcoms is that they rework the set to play homage to whatever show that is being heavily influenced in that area.
Yeah.
So we see Wanda and Vision. They're trying to get Billy and Tommy to calm down. They're still babies. They're crying. So Wanda tries to use magic to make the babies go to sleep. And this is where things start getting more interesting. She can't do it.
Yeah.
Everything else she can control. She can make fake butterflies into real butterflies. She can make fake storks into real storks, but she can't make babies stop crying.
Yeah, so there's something about animals and insects that she can control, but her own children? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's interesting that she can't control these babies. And of course, she needs help. And who comes but a nosy, jazzercise dressed neighbor, Agnes, right to the door every single time. Every single time Wanda needs something, Agnes is always showing up with that thing.
And we thought that Wanda's hair was teased in 80s. It holds nothing to Agnes's, who is full-on scrunchy, high ponytail, frizz mania. It's delightful. You know, even in this beginning scene where we left off with Vision in the last episode is that he's kind of questioning things now, the birth of the kids. And so he's still in that mindset where, you know, things just seem to be happening a little too easily.
Yeah.
Why whenever do we need something does the doorbell ring and someone walks in?
Yeah, and when Agnes gets in there, she's like, "Oh, I'll just babysit. I'll help you guys, and I can do this." And Vision's like, "Oh, at this point, he's being more of a protective father."
Totally. Yeah.
He's like, "No, we don't need it. These are newborns, like literally 5 hours old. Like, we don't need any of that."
Yeah, he's basically like, "Did you Purell your hands?"
Yeah. I mean, I would be the same way with my kid. And as he kind of steps in between Agnes from taking care of the kids, Agnes looks at Wanda and was like, "Should we take that from the top?" And it's like, ah.
Yeah.
So now Agnes, more so than everybody else, is breaking. Like, she knows what's going on. She's like, "Oh, it's a script. It's a show. Should we just like redo this because like he said the wrong line? Like he's not letting me progress in my story."
Yeah. My script, my blocking in my script said that I come in here, talk to you, make a funny quip, and then I hold the babies and make them stop crying.
Yeah.
And she's like, and then we got this guy, ad-libber over here, throwing me off. Yeah. What are we going to do?
And Wanda looks at her kind of funny, but is like, "Oh, it's fine. Yeah, just let her take care of the kids." And then Vision's like, "Wanda, what the hell was that?"
Yeah.
And Wanda, acting like nobody else can see her or any situation, it's like, "I don't know. What are you talking? Oh, she's just being weird. You know, she's fine. You know, she just wants to help." And he was like, "Are you sure?" And then he gets distracted.
Right.
Again.
So that's what's interesting is that he pulls Wanda over to the side, and every time he tries to dig a little deeper into the situation, Agnes just happens to do something funny, right? So she's jazzercising next to the babies, or she's spraying lavender mist over them to try and get them to relax, or she's trying to get them some brandy to suck on to calm down.
Yeah, which I don't trust because that's weird. Like, she's literally spraying perfume lavender on them, which lavender can be used to calm, like the scent and everything, but spraying full on perfume lavender on babies, I don't trust. And also she's looking specifically for dark liquor. It's like, yes, those are usually remedies to calm kids down, but I don't trust Agnes at this point. And I'm like, potions.
Oh, well, back in the 80s, they didn't know any better. They were like, spray it right in their eyes. They'll be fine.
But this isn't the 80s.
I mean, like, Johnson & Johnson has made a lovely baby lotion infused with lavender, but that's much more gentle than a mist to the face.
Well, now we know that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, so I'm saying potions. That's what I'm saying.
She's trying some witchy ways on them.
Yeah, so as it progresses, Vision and Wanda are talking, and then suddenly...
Silence,
and the kids are 5.
Hello. Good morning.
What?
It's us again.
That's great. I mean, just like you were talking about, season later, the kids are grown up. Nobody wants to deal with babies in a show.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, what's even funnier is that in some shows, like in Family Matters, they got rid of a younger sister. So this is better. Just make them older.
Did they ever acknowledge?
No, she just disappeared. Judy. Judy, she's in the credits. She's playing with the dollhouse. Next season, gone.
Oh,
They're like,
man.
this is an Urkel show.
Did they like cut her out of the credits?
Yeah, no, the sister, like they just stopped writing the sister.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, that's how easy it is in a show. You just stop writing the character.
But that's good for Urkel. You know?
Good for Urkel.
So now we get a new opening theme. We get the same people that are doing the theme songs for every single episode do a new theme song for this that ties to the shows and the era. And I love it every single time.
And I feel like this one really digs in deep with the lyrics. I mean, it starts off, I'm taking some liberty here. You Wanda the world with a vision of what life can be.
Mm-hmm.
Forces may try to pull us apart, but nothing can phase me because he phases. We're making it up as we go along.
Home is where you make it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just blatant. Like, she has no idea what's going on. I'm just making this up as I go along. And in this opening is when we, again, really see the influences of the sitcom. It starts with the drawing of the family being painted. That is directly from the Family Ties opening. We see the progressive photos of them as babies to toddlers, which the Vision baby.
Okay, hold on. One, I think Baby Vision and Baby Grinch would be best friends.
Oh my God, totally.
Because they look kind of alike.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also just did not like the Baby Vision. Also, Vision was never a baby. So that's weird.
Okay, my collection of love for baby characters is growing. I just pictured him next to Grogu in some sort of Funko collection, and I am loving it.
I love a chaotic trio, so we just need to get Baby Vision, Baby Grinch, and Baby Grogu.
Oh my God.
It's a baby squad.
I don't know if I can handle the cuteness.
Yeah,
So good.
It's amazing. I don't think the Grinch is part of Disney, but I don't care.
It's okay.
Well,
They'll do it.
They can buy everything at this point.
They'll do Baby Groot.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, actually that works.
Right?
So I did also want to point out too that Billy and Tommy have baby pictures, and it's like these kids are 5 years old and went from 0 to 5 in like 5 hours. So it's like, how do they have baby pictures too?
Wanda just like blinks her eyes and she's shooting Polaroids out of her mouth or something like that. And so the baby pictures, the progression of the baby pictures, that's from Growing Pains. And then we see them running on a lawn and having a picnic, and that's very Full House.
Yeah, because at first we were like, so this was Growing Pains and Family Ties, and it was like, is this Full House too? And then you see the picnic, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. So they're pulling from it. Credits are done. Opening credits are done. And now we're back outside of Westview, and we see Monica getting some tests on her. And while she's getting these tests done, we hear a conversation, like a voiceover of Hayward and Monica talking. And Monica's talking about how, you know, she felt a pain, like a pain of hopelessness, like something was on her. She felt grief.
Yeah.
Something that was keeping her down. So now we're seeing people that are players in Wanda's show, that she is controlling them, but they also are feeling her.
Yeah.
Like they're feeling her pain and her grief because she's forcing them to do this.
Weird, right? It's like this weird suppression of who you really are being taken over by this grief monster.
Rewritten.
I mean, it really, you know, when you hear about things like anxiety and depression, there's this feeling overcoming you, right? And so it's like Wanda's depression is just laying heavily on all of the people that are there.
I mean, she lost her brother. She lost the love of her life. She lost everything. Her parents. Yeah. I mean, I can't blame her. And she got blipped and then came back and then had to fight Big Purple Man. Oh my God. Too much for her. So then Jimmy and Darcy come into the scene. And I love a good trio. And this trio I love so much. Like,
yes.
I can't get over like these chaotic trios that Marvel loves to do. And in this, we also see the doctor that was doing her tests. She shows the test and Darcy's like, there's nothing on it. So it's like, is this Monica getting her powers? I want to see what that does, where it goes. So now we get a big sword meeting. And Hayward still is a big old dick.
Yeah, and so we really kind of see the two sides of the coin here. So you have Hayward, who is interjecting in the briefing. Jimmy starts and he's like, this is what happened to them. He's like, yeah, no, they were terrorists. No, they just went with Hydra. And so, you know, whereas Jimmy and Monica are trying to give everybody there the real true picture of what happened to Wanda in her life and what sort of shaped her, Hayward has already made decisions that she's an enemy. You know, he says that they thought she was a victim, but she's actually the main victimizer.
Yeah, I mean, I just hate him. a lot.
I mean, we called him a dick in last episode, and it holds true.
Right. It seems like Jimmy and Monica, pretty much everybody that has a conscience and is a good person, tries to be like, well, let's figure what's going on here. Because, like, Wanda was an Avenger. She helped save the world multiple times. Like, she's not bad.
Right.
With Hayward using the word like terrorist and like, oh, well, she killed this many people in Logos. She killed, this, she did this. And it's like, well, okay, yes, she did start as a villain, but she was misguided. And in the same movie, she switched her role. Like, calm down.
Yeah, and Monica says when he's like, well, she threw you halfway across New Jersey. Monica says, and I survived because she chose to protect me. I don't believe this is premeditated act of aggression.
Right.
So the person that was like actually victimized by Wanda is like, but there's something else there. And I'm telling you that from a first person account.
Exactly. I don't know why they don't listen to the person that was actually there. That's like saying, oh, I'm going to send this person in to get intel. Person comes back with intel and they're like, you know what? I know what you're saying and I know what you experienced, but what I think is happening is really this. And it's like, that's just not how intel works. You can't just interpret it however you want it to be. It's just ridiculous. So at this point, we see Hayward is like, oh, I was just given permission to show this classified sword footage. And we see Wanda breaking into Sword and stealing Vision's, for some reason, dismembered body. Did you notice that on the table? It was like his head was on one table, his torso was on another, and like, I mean, were they dissecting him? Because that's gross.
Yeah, I just couldn't get past the word corpse.
Yeah, They kept using the word corpse. He was dead. But the interesting thing is, so at the end of Avengers Endgame, there was supposed to be an end credit scene. Mm-hmm. This was the end credit scene.
Oh,
and they cut it. And now they repurposed it.
Well, there you go. I'm glad they repurposed it and brought it back.
Imagine seeing that at the end of Avengers Endgame, which was like a lot to process from Infinity War to Endgame, and seeing that and then having to wait years for WandaVision, if that's what it was going to lead to.
And like, I feel like Elizabeth Olsen's like, why did we record that?
Yeah.
What's happening?
I always wondered if actors do that.
Yeah.
If they're like, wait, what was that scene where I had to eat like that giant sandwich? Like,
no,
I didn't see it in the movie.
We said no. I had indigestion for days.
Poisoning.
Yeah. I also am trying to flash back to where we last see Wanda at the end of Endgame. And we see her at the funeral, right? And she's standing there and she says something like, I can feel him all around me. But so it's interesting that we see her sort of like in this sort of not calm state, but she's contemplating the death and coming to terms with it by the lake. And then X amount of days later, breaks in and grabs his corpse.
Yeah, we learn in this scene, too, that from when she got the corpse to the current moment in the show, it was 9 days.
Yeah.
So less than 2 weeks.
So I don't know. Did something happen where her grief took over, where, she was going through those stages of grief? She got past anger and then whoopsies, went right back to it. You know what I mean? It's like something happened.
Well, I don't think she's angry. I just think she wants what she wants. She always gets everything taken away from her. And this is the way she can get what she wants. I don't think it's necessarily anger. Like, she gets angry at people that are trying to take it from her.
Right. Yeah. No. I guess I'm just saying, I'm just looking at the psychologic way of the 5 stages of grief and seeing where she might be in that.
Well, magic isn't one of them, so I have no idea.
Hex magic.
Yeah. So now we go back in Westview in this next scene, and the twins are by the sink. And I did want to point out a cool thing about the twins is that they're both, every scene that you see them in, or even when they age up or age down or whatever, they're both wearing colors perspective to their characters in the comics. So Tommy is wearing green, Billy is wearing red, Speed, Wiccan. Love it. I love those little tiny details. There was also like a little rainbow painting near them because I'm like, they grow up to be little LGBTQ people. I love it.
Rainbows in the kitchen.
We come to find out that they have a dog, Sparky, which is another callback to the comics. And Vision, the one that we talked about in the very first episode of this season, in the Vision comic by Tom King, they have a dog named Sparky. Mm-hmm. He is green.
He's green.
And more robotic.
True.
But was a real dog.
We'll take it.
To that. So, so it was cool that they actually brought Sparky into this scene. I liked it.
So like in all good sitcoms, they're trying to convince their mom to keep the dog. And, Wanda is like, no, we can't keep it. But he doesn't have a collar. He doesn't belong to someone. And then you want to kiss him on the face because he's so cute.
Yeah, I do want to say, like, Wanda's progression through, or I should even just say Elizabeth Olsen's progression through the sitcoms and decades, and like the different styles of comedy and the way she delivers it. I mean, she's so charming.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Like, let's think of the layers for a second, right? So you're this character who you've played for quite a while now, and you know their entire past. But you also have to layer it with, you're dealing with all the trauma that you went through, which is the grief. But on top of that, you have to act like you're happy, and you're tricking yourself to be happy. It's just like multiple layers of being an actor and thinking about the background of your character and trying to load that all into like a smile and a wink and a nod for a sitcom.
Yeah, I would tell them, like, can I just film all the happy scenes first?
Yeah.
I was like, because I just can't. I don't want to go back and forth. That would drive me insane.
Tis for the arts, for
So
the actors.
Vision comes in at this point and is kind of skeptical about the dog, but he also introduces, like, he talks and he's not in his normal Vision phase.
He's like inhuman.
Right. And Wanda's like, why so formal? And he's like, I just have a suspicion that somebody will drop by. So he's, again, being suspicious. He sees a dog. He knows something's going to happen. And, of course, in comes Agnes. Right? Like, with a dog house.
Yeah. You thought it was impressive when she came over with a bunny.
Or
How
a
about
pineapple.
a pineapple?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? A fully built doghouse, perfectly sized for Sparky.
That she had just lying around, I guess.
That's the magic of Agnes.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, yep, I knew it. And with just what we need, too. So he knows. Like, Vision is just like, this is so sus.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
So once they decide on the name Sparky, Wanda just magics a collar. And Vision gets really upset. And he's like, you're doing it right in front of her. She's like, well, she didn't even notice when they aged up. But he's like, Wanda, we're supposed to be on the same page.
Right.
You're not doing things the way we agreed.
Right.
And she's like, don't worry about it. But this is just adding to his notes of suspicion.
Right. And it's also like Wanda knows that Agnes knows, and Agnes knows everything.
Yeah.
And Vision's like, what the fuck? Like, can you tell me what is going on? So in the sitcom story part of it, Vision and Wanda are like, okay, kids, you can't have the dog until you're like 10. So the
what
kids
do
are
they
like,
do?
yeah, the kids are like, okay, we'll just age ourselves up again 5 years. And now they're 10 years old ish. But it turns out that young Billy is played by young Luke from The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh my God, sans glasses.
Yes. And at first I was like, why does he look so familiar? And then he looked, that scene with Luke where he has the hat on and he like looks up. There was a scene where he looks up at Wanda and I'm like, that's Luke.
Yeah. Noah and I are constantly on Hill House Kid Watch.
Yeah.
Like we'll be watching it and we'll be like, that was young Theo. That's the actress that played young Theo. And then Noah saw young Nell in a car commercial, and now we see young Luke in this. We just loved The Haunting of Hill House so much, and those kids were amazing. So.
I love it. I love it so much.
Our next scene, we're going back to what I call base camp, which is outside of the Westview anomaly. And we see Monica sort of like planning something, and she said she needs a 10,000-pound fallout shelter on wheels.
Yeah, sure, I'll get it right. Go have Agnes. Go ask Agnes to bring.
Right, but like Darcy and Jimmy are like unfazed with this. They're like, yes, you do. That's what you need.
You also forgot an important part prior to this. The first scene we see is Jimmy being the happiest person bringing coffees to his besties. And Darcy finally gets her coffee.
Yes.
It took a whole episode for Darcy to get her coffee.
Yeah, he's like, me and my friends working on a case. We're going to crack this one. Oh, yeah. He's
Fuck
just like,
Hayward.
Bam. Marching across the way. He's so happy.
So they're trying to develop a way to go back into Westview. And Darcy's even like, you want to go back in there? And Monica, without hesitation and phase, she's like, yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Because Monica is the best person. Aside from Darcy and Jimmy, she's the best person in this. She is the new hero. She is the new person. And she's really putting herself in that. Like, she's putting her stake into the MCU, and I'm loving every single second of her.
I mean, it seems that as a person, Monica Rambeau can trust and welcome and forgive very easily.
Yeah.
Even looking at her as a little girl in Captain Marvel, when Captain Marvel comes back, she's like, Mom, I'm going to get her coat.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, and so here she is again, trusting her instincts, knowing the difference between right and wrong, and just freaking being a badass.
She also just got rematerialized 3 weeks ago, and she's already just hitting the ground running. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
So Monica also does this passing comment where she's like, I know an aerospace engineer that could help with this. If she's not talking about the Fantastic Four and Reed Richards, because Reed Richards is an aerospace engineer, I'm always trying to find Fantastic Four Easter eggs ever since they were announced that they were coming out, because they are like my favorite Marvel team.
But like, that's the thing, is that I feel like WandaVision is showing us that there are no holds barred anymore.
No.
You know, it's like anything can happen. Any character can come in now. It's pretty exciting.
They just had a giant purple villain for like 22 movies. They're like, people liked that? Okay. Wait, I'm going to just like bust this wide open and show you all this stuff. Yeah.
All the stuff I put in the discard pile, I'm going to bring it back.
There's also this funny little conversation that they have. And I feel like because I'm so much in like the comic book Twitter, you hear this a lot where it's like Captain Marvel versus Wanda, like who's the most powerful Avenger? And we have Jimmy and Monica doing that same conversation. I think it's so funny.
Yeah, well, but I think it's interesting. So when Monica hears Captain Marvel's name, she almost seems hurt or bothered by it.
Yeah, I think it might be explored later on. It would have to be, because did something happen? I mean, Monica wasn't around when Captain Marvel came back because she got blipped. She got, phased out, and that's when Captain Marvel came back and fought Thanos. So if Captain Marvel was gone that entire time, she might blame her in some weird way for
her mom.
For her mom being sick, for her mom dying. Like, Captain Marvel wasn't there for her mom when she was gone. Like,
yeah.
But also it's kind of like, oh, she might have found out that Captain Marvel came back. Because I was like, how do you know that Captain Marvel didn't get vanished also, snapped also? But yeah, so I think it might be.
That's also something funny that now that you bring it up, they very much have like, I don't know, it's like they've watched the movies.
Yeah.
They're like, because, Wanda almost defeated Thanos. She was like right up there if he didn't do this thing. I'm like, were there like books written about what happened with the fight? There was cameras, right? It's like they know very detailed things about the fights and things that happen like in space. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with it, I think. We also see in this scene the introduction of Darcy calling it the Hex.
Yeah.
Because it's a hexagonal shape. We've been talking a lot about why are there all these six-sided things? What does that mean? I mean, I don't know if this is the ultimate six-sided thing that we're talking about, but it is a nod to that.
Yeah, totally can't be. So the biggest part of this whole scene with Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy is that we're starting to see how Wanda's changing reality. So Monica gets the idea, she's like, wait, what happens to things that are in there? Like, Darcy's talking about how like everything's an illusion. Like, Wanda's just making people see all this stuff. Like, the stuff we see on the broadcast is what she makes people see. And Monica's like, no, like, it was real. I literally pulled a baby out of her. Like,
yeah.
I know it's all real. I touched it. I felt it.
Well, yeah, because Jimmy's like, have we identified the kids? Like, where's their New Jersey driver's license? Who are they? And she's like, no, those are her twins.
Yeah, like she made them. Don't know how, but she made them. So she gets the idea to go to the lab where her clothes are at that she had on in Westview. And the interesting thing that we find out is that those were her clothes that she went into Westview with, but she was wearing a Kevlar vest. And her clothes have Kevlar in them. Like, her pants are like 87% Kevlar.
Yeah, people thought that polyester was the biggest enemy of clothes in the 80s. No. Kevlar.
Yeah. Or the best thing to happen to them.
Because they should have been Kevlar.
Bulletproof pants.
Yeah.
So now we're knowing, like, it's something that we all suspected but didn't know. But she is changing things. Like, when she changes it, it actually changes. So now I'm like, okay, so what's happening with Vision?
Hair.
Yeah. No, I'm like, so what is happening with everything? Like, is she changing everything? What is the extent of what she can change? What is the extent of what she can't change? Like, it's just,
yeah, and it's like, is it a thing of like, the material needs to be there for her to change it into that time period? So it's like only the things that you're wearing can become, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What is the process? Like, what is
magic.
Your magic.
That's the process.
That's the process.
All right. So next scene, we get to computational services. So we have not seen him at his job for a while. And he's setting up a computer. There's an email. And as Vision sets up the computer, there's an email that comes through from Darcy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually from Darcy. It might have been, and the computer picked it up. And it's pretty much talking about how there's radiation outside of the hex field. We don't know the extent of how it's affecting the residents in there. So that brings me further to the theory that everybody in there that has these names of these villains or other characters actually will become these people. Because if you know comic books,
radiation's never good.
Radiation, toxic waste, radioactive spiders, that's how people get powers.
Also, creepy email reading in unison.
Why?
Yabba dabba dee yabba dabba dabba.
It's so weird. Also, I've worked in offices like that before, and people don't read emails. People, one, don't check emails at the same time.
True.
And also, don't read them aloud at the same time.
Yeah, cubicles, although open air, create very fine divisions in the office. People are very much to themselves.
Yeah, but the biggest part of this scene, I feel like every scene has a little tiny setup and then a main point to it in this one, because things are moving a lot quicker.
Yes.
Vision turns off the computer. He uses, Vision Touch, whatever you want to call it.
This is
where comics come in. It's just accept it. And then he looks at Norm and he's like, I'm going to touch your head too.
I'm going to shoot electricity into your brain.
Yeah. So he essentially cuts off the signal from Norm, from what Wanda's doing. And Norm is Norm. He is himself. And he's like, where's my sister? I need to call my sister. She's taking care of my father. And he's like, she's hurting me. It hurts. Tell her to stop. You need to get her to stop. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. He says, you have to stop her. She's in my head. None of it is my own.
Yeah. And so now Vision is like, oh, fuck. I was right. Right. So back at the Vision residence, Wanda and the boys are playing with the dog, and the boys get kind of suspicious on why their dad isn't home on a Saturday.
Right. And she's like, no, it's Monday. And they're like, no, Mom, it's Saturday. And so this for me was she's sort of losing track of things.
Also, she can't control the kids.
Right. So she's concentrating so much on that, she doesn't really know what's happening at every moment of every day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was much simpler, right? When it was in the first episode, it's the principal sets were home and office.
Yeah.
And that was it. But now there's this whole other world. There's more characters. There's children involved. She's like, it's Monday. They're like, it's still the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mom.
True.
What school? Huh?
They have this, I'm starting to notice in this episode, it is really heavily about loss and grief, because there's a lot of moments that her and the kids are talking. And I feel like because the kids aren't bound to whatever's going on, they're living in it and they think that this is, they're living the day-to-day life. They know something's weird, but they'll ask questions to their mom, oh, do you have a brother? Do you have this? And she's talking about families forever and all of that. So it's it's interesting that the kids aren't controlled by anything.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just well, we're just magic kids. Our parents are magic. Our dad's red. This is normal life and it's fine. I do think it's interesting though, when they ask if she has a brother, her response is, I do, but he's very far away and that makes me sad. She doesn't say he's dead.
Well, she didn't. I think it's one of those things where it's they're kids. So I don't think she wanted to talk about death with them. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I just think it's an interesting
choice of words. Yeah, because I thought the same thing, and I was I think for us it's supposed to be interesting, but it's her character saying it to the kids is oh well, they're just not here. The dog went off to a farm, type of thing.
Yeah, I guess it was for me kind of just her rewriting reality, or whatever this is.
I mean, it could be whatever she wants happens.
Right.
Wink.
Yeah.
So at this moment, we hear a noise outside. Sword is sending in a drone that is from the 80s, which is smart because Monica was like, what if we send something in there that doesn't need to be changed? Just send something in there that's from that era.
Right, exactly. Because when she sent in the drone, it turned into a helicopter and her clothes turned into bell bottoms with an adorable vest. So now that this is from the 80s, it's flying in. We see sort of a shoddy video camera work. Apparently the drones in the 80s also had cameras and microphone technology for blasting volume.
I mean, I wasn't around during the 80s, so I don't know.
I'm not familiar with drone technology in the 80s. So what she says over this sort of intercom is, Wanda, this is Captain Monica Rambeau. I just want to talk. That's it.
Yeah, so Monica's just trying to reach out to her. As we've seen from this, she wants to get back in there. She, firsthand experience, she knows what's going on. She knows there's more to it than what people like Hayward are thinking. And as she's trying to reach out to her, and Wanda very visibly being like, what the fuck, guys? Hayward has his other little goon take control of the drone and says, take the shot. Bitch, why? There's one, kid's there. And two, why? Why are you such an asshole? Like, does he only care about getting Vision's body back?
But we have to remember about him, right? In our first introduction to him, they're walking through the sword, whatever, warehouse or lab, and all he's doing is building weapons. So his first thought is always strike first, ask questions later.
Right.
Just swing your sword first, ask questions later.
Wah, wah.
Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, we see Wanda's eyes turning a little bit red, and then it cuts out. There's been a breach.
Yeah, alarms go off, and Wanda comes out through that Hex force field carrying the missile drone and was like, is this yours? Yeah. Did you lose something? Also,
such aggressive pointing.
Crop and enhance on that drone, it's Stark Industries.
Oh.
That asshole, Hayward, apparently knowing everything about Wanda, sent a Stark Industries missile in to kill Wanda.
Stony Tark. He's back.
Fuck you. That's how she lost her family. That was the whole thing that made her, quote unquote, evil in the first place. It's like, you're an asshole.
He's playing war games. He's playing mental games. He's playing Candyland. It's not cool.
Yeah, I hate this. So there's a standoff between Hayward and Wanda, essentially, at this point, and she pretty much tells him, stay away, don't bother me, I won't bother you. And he's pretty much acting like she has all these people held hostage. And she's like, I'm not the one with guns pointed to them. I'm like, well, girl, I think you have like metaphorical guns pointed to their head. Also, they have no free will.
Yeah, like mind control is pretty bad, Wanda. Like, I mean, I love you and I support you and I understand you're going through a hard time, but you're not being great.
Yeah, I'm still going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, I think she knows what's going on, but she's clouded by grief. But I don't think she's the only one doing anything. So there's always that person whispering in people's ears whenever they're doing something like this. So
yeah,
I'm holding out for that. So at this point, Monica again tries to reach out to her because she's like, I'm going to take this opportunity to reach Wanda again, get through to her. And she tells her, I want to help you. And Wanda's like, what are you going to help me with? I have everything I want. Which is like, ooh, yeah. So at this point, Wanda's not going to give up.
Yeah, she's like, I have what I want and no one will ever take it from me again.
Wanda uses her powers that we've seen, like the mind control stuff, has all those gun guys turn their guns on Hayward. And I'm like, shoot.
He's
I
like,
don't care.
whoa. She's like, bye.
And Wanda goes back into the force field and it turns a scarlet red.
Yeah.
So it looks like she either amped up that force field or she changed it somehow, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, whatever she did, it looks menacing, it looks more powerful, it looks impenetrable, and she's just made things a little more difficult for our friends Jimmy, Darcy, and Monica.
And now brings us to a commercial break, because Wanda was not in the broadcast and she needed to have a commercial during this time.
Yeah, I need a breaky break, okay?
I wonder if people outside of Westview and Sword are actually watching this somehow. And are like, this show is amazing. This is great.
Where can I get that Hydra bath soak?
Right. They
really
keep looking up these
that.
products and they're like, none of this exists.
I could use that toaster, actually.
So we see, again, the same people that are in every commercial. And even the kids are the same. Mm-hmm. And it's for Lagos paper towels. So think Bounty. And in this scene, the daughter spills this red liquid and the mom is cleaning it up. One, that liquid is way too blood-like for Kool-Aid, so it's like blood on the hands. Lagos is the place where Scarlet Witch killed those 26 people by accident, leading civil war, the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah, and the tagline for the brand is Lagos brand paper towels for when you make a mess you didn't mean to.
I mean, she didn't.
And I think something interesting about the paper towels is that they actually do a really bad job of soaking anything up.
Right, because you can't fix those mistakes no matter how hard you try.
Exactly.
Right. Yuck. heavy commercial.
Yeah.
We are now back in Westview, fully in character again. Wanda is with the twins looking for Sparky because Sparky got out whenever the drone attack happened.
Thanks for nothing.
They're walking down the street. This mailman, again, acts a little weird. And he is like, don't worry, kids. Your mom won't let the dog get far. It's like, okay, so a lot of people know what's happening.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're starting to realize we're prisoners.
And I just noticed Dottie wasn't in this one. So that's interesting.
Where is Dottie?
Where's Herb?
Where's Herb? Yeah. Where's anyone other than our main characters and that mailman?
They continue walking down the street.
Oh,
what?
I don't know. That mailman, he's been saying creepy things the whole time. Maybe he has something to do. He's like the big bad.
I think Ralph is the big bad.
Rolf.
We've never seen him. Agnes's husband, supposedly. Never seen him. So they continue walking down the street, and Agnes comes up from her bushes with poor little Sparky wrapped in a thing. And she was like, oh, he ate leaves from my bush and died. It's like, I don't trust you.
Yeah, but we also did see in the Vision, the King comic, there is a plant that you eat and kills animals.
Right.
So, whoops.
Yeah. But still, I don't trust Agnes. Like, she found the dog. The dog happens to be dead.
I mean, Agnes has a pineapple and a full lobster thermidor ingredients in her fridge. She just has everything. It's like Agnes is there to play the things that will solve Wanda's problems.
Right, but I think the reason why, like, if she did kill the dog, I think she's pushing Wanda because there's a moment where the kids are visibly upset. They're upset that their dog died and they're about to age up again. And Wanda's like, no, don't. I know this is painful and you want to run from it, but you can't. You can't run from this. Because sometimes you do need to feel sadness. And I'm like, Wanda, take your own advice here.
I mean, really. I mean, like, take a step back, you hypocrite. Like, oh my God.
And Tommy tells her, like, you can fix the dead. Just fix him. So I'm like, do they know their dad's dead?
Well, that's what's something that's interesting is that the way he says it, it seems too close. It's like he muddles the words dad and dead.
Right.
So it's like they know what's up.
We had to literally put subtitles on for that part because it sounds like both. Derek and I both heard two different things.
Yeah.
And then the subtitles, it's weird because it's not a break. But the way the sentence is set up, it looks like it's supposed to be either one. It's so creepy and weird.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting part when he says you fix the dead. Agnes looks interested and she said, you can do that?
Mm.
So I don't know if this is one of the things that Agnes has been trying to do this whole time or she's trying to push her or whatever, because it's weird that I think Agnes did kill the dog. And it's like maybe she was hoping Wanda would do something about it to like progress her powers that way or whatever, maybe try to bring Vision back. I don't know. Who knows? I'm probably looking way too much into this, but that's what I think.
Well, if we think back to the comic again, right? Spoiler alert, Agatha Harkness makes her cat eat the plant so then she can drink the cat's blood so she could see
The future. Right.
Oh, I don't know. Interesting.
Oh.
So she already done drunk Sparky in that bush because she's like, I had to wrap him. She was in the bush.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I don't know. She's just super suspicious. I hope she turns out to be good.
Yeah.
Because she does mentor Wanda. Not always for the best reasons, but whatever.
First time we saw her house.
Yeah.
Exciting.
True. So Vision comes up. He's walking home from work and he's like, what's going on? He realizes it. And of course, he sees Agnes again with them and the whole situation. And you just see him visibly being like, this just isn't right.
Yeah, he's having a bad day.
Yeah. Cut to back at the Vision's home. Vision comes in from burying Sparky. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
And he confronts Wanda. He was like, I talked to Norm today without your oversight. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm cleaning.
Yeah, I'm just going to go to bed. And he's like, what are we going to do? Go watch TV? He's like, tell me what's going on.
Yeah, he says to her, you can't control me the way you do them. And she responds, can't I? And she rolls the credits.
I wish I could roll the credits sometimes.
So good.
Like if somebody's just really annoying me, I'm like, next episode, bye.
Yeah, in the last episode, we were talking about how if something bad happens, you could just like do the jump cut and reverse time. It's like, well, why even bother? Just roll the credits.
Also, I want to see who would be on my credits.
Yeah, who's my producer? Mom and dad.
Yeah.
Who's my director? A bigger question.
But Vision doesn't care. He's like, you know what? You can do that. He still is pushing Wanda. He's like, tell me what's going on. And this is like the moment with Vision where we really see how much this is taking a toll on him.
Yeah.
Because he like yells at her, like, stop lying to me. Why are you lying to me? And then as his, fear and stuff progresses, he's telling, I don't know who I was before Westview.
Yeah.
He tells her, I'm scared. I'm like, oh.
The being is having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep. And we also do kind of get this cool thing of, a suburban couple having a fight, but they're also, don't forget, powerful beings. So they rise up off the ground as they're yelling at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also sort of a reminder of, don't forget, they have powers. They can do lots of destruction. So although we're loving them being cute and growing their family, like there could be an all out fight between the two of them, which is a little scary to think about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, true. There's an interesting line that he says that like, she tells him, all of this is for us. And he's like, you can't make that choice for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it is weird that she can't control him really.
Yeah.
Like she can reverse time to where like he doesn't remember what just happened, but she can't really control him. So it's interesting that like he doesn't remember anything prior to Westview. Mm-hmm. So like this is what he thinks is real.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, you're my wife. And she tells him, and this part was like really sad to me. She was like, you're my husband and you're Billy and Tommy's father. Is that not enough?
Yeah.
And it's like, that should be enough. Like that is what everybody wants. Everybody wants the house. Everybody wants the kids, but it's like, you're lying to him.
Yeah. I think it's heartbreaking for her because she's been trying so hard to make this perfect life for the two of them. Everything that they always wanted, that little glimpse into their happiness that they could have had that was taken away from them. She's using so much of her energy and her magic and her self to create this, and he's still questioning it.
Yep. I mean, I would too. Everybody would.
Right. And I think that's the thing, though, is that there's a clear thing of right and wrong. And so it's a very philosophical question, right? It's like, even though you're doing wrong to get what's right for you, is that okay?
Right.
And for her, it seems that maybe it is. And for him, it's not how he would do things.
Yeah. Leading up to the final scene in this episode, Vision points out something that I did not notice until he pointed out. And he's like, why are there no kids here other than Billy and Tommy? He's like, I walk by that playground every day, no kids. And it's like, oh, she can't control kids.
For the children.
Is that why there's no kids there? Like,
right. But that's also really even more sad because
where did
some
the
of
kids
these people had to have kids.
Yeah, where did they go?
They had to have families.
That's why I'm thinking whatever big bad this is, they need kids for something. It's a kid eater.
No, a kid eater.
I don't know.
A kid eater. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have no idea. So their conversation is kind of calming down a bit. We get some interesting lines from her saying, she's like, do you think I'm the one controlling every situation here?
Right.
She's like, I don't know when this happened. So now we're building this thing of like, I don't know at this point if she's reliable enough, but if that's true, she isn't the one controlling everything.
And I think there is some truth to that, because if we look at the first episode of WandaVision, they're both plopped into the 50s and they're looking at the calendar, not knowing what's going to happen on the 23rd. And so they were both on this clean slate almost. So it does feel like she kind of woke up in there with him and she was like, okay, well, I'm going to go along with this because this is great.
Right. I think there was some part of her, like whatever's happening or whatever made her do this and whatever forces are helping her do this, she wanted all of this, and that's why it's coming into reality, and that's why things are happening the way they're happening. But for her to say, I don't know when this started, is like, okay. So you weren't fully like aware that like this happened. There was a conversation prior where Monica and Hayward were talking, and she's like, I don't think that she actively did this. Like this wasn't an act of aggression.
Yeah.
She had to have subconsciously, this had to have happened.
It was the stone that infused her powers.
So they're kind of talking a little bit, and then the doorbell rings again. And Vision, every single scene in this, he's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, but
here
she's
we go
like,
again.
I didn't do that. Like, it wasn't me.
He's like, I've been keeping tallies. I'm doing statistics. You're wrong. Yeah. Okay, I have to err on the side of that.
I'm with him. I would be like, yeah, of course, this one time you didn't do that.
Here comes Agnes.
Yeah. She opens the door. Mm-hmm. And this show, like, everything is just getting more and more like, what is happening? opens the door. You see the back of Quicksilver, which at first I thought it was her Quicksilver.
That hair.
Camera turns around, and it's Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the X-Men movies.
Whoa!
I don't know what's happening.
It is insane. And Darcy, we get a quick check with Darcy, who's watching TV, and she's like, she recast Pietro?
Which, okay, couple things there. One, in the Darcy scene, alarms are going off like something was breached.
A breach, yes.
Again, so interesting. But, okay, so a couple things with this. If this actually is Quicksilver from those X-Men movies, which obviously it is, but if they do recast Quicksilver and this is the way they did it, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, because sometimes they always just recast people with like either just killing them and then it's a new person that takes up the mantle or whatever. But it's like, if they're just like, no, Quicksilver's back again, but it's played by this other Quicksilver that now we have the rights to.
Right.
I love it so much because it's so like fourth wall, like, we know, but it's part of the story, so just deal with it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? So we were talking about before earlier in our episode about her saying like, he's just far away. Perhaps far away doesn't mean another country, it means another universe in the multiverse of Marvel.
Yeah.
Which this, Quicksilver was plucked from. But I also think it's interesting. So he comes in and he's kind of talking like this, right? So he feels very much a mashup of Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey because he's like Uncle Jesse leather jacket, but Uncle Joey like funny,
hate it.
Silliness.
Hate the accent.
It's so bonkers, but she seems to be perplexed by this arrival as well.
But she knows it's him because she's like, Pietro? So another thing that I'm wondering about. Did she, okay, just walk with me for a second.
Let's go. I'm on a journey with you. I'm holding your hand. Let's go.
Did she, so when she talked at the end of Endgame saying, I can feel Vision all around me, I can feel them around me, she could also be talking about Pietro. She got her powers from the Mind Stone. All of the stones are connected, Soul Stone included.
True.
Could she somehow take Pietro, her Pietro, put it inside of that Quicksilver? Like when she said that he's far away, I do have a brother, did she somehow pull that Quicksilver from that universe, but also put her Pietro inside of him? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because he knows her. That Quicksilver from the X-Men movies would not know.
True.
This Wanda would not know anything.
I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, at this point.
I mean, she brought Vision's dismembered body into a tightly packed, dad on a sitcom. So I'm sure she could take a soul from a dead guy and put him in another version of him.
That isn't so when Quicksilver notices Vision,
yeah.
He's like, what's up with the popsicle?
Who's the popsicle?
Popsicle, people on ice, dead. Does he know he's dead?
Also, why doesn't he know Vision?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So many questions.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know. Okay. That's the end of that episode. It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was like,
where does it go from here? I'm just like, everything, the multiverse is here, magic is around, Monica's getting powers. What happens to all the people inside of Westview?
If we don't get the twins in unison going, Uncle Pietro, and running up to him, I am banishing the show because they did not do any sitcom stuff that they should for the 90s.
I'm curious if we're going to be like in the late 80s and then going into the 90s in the next one.
Right, because it feels like very Full House could come up next.
Yeah, because I feel like the next episode is going to have the Halloween stuff, which really feels like the 90s to me.
Yeah.
So super interested to see where that goes.
Holy smokes.
Let us know. Join our Discord or let us know what you think is going on with this whole Pietro and everything, really.
Before we end our episode, of course, it's time for our special segment.
Oh, God.
Mystery Marvel.
You can't keep drawing that out.
It was a little shorter this time.
Yeah, like...
I could draw it out as long as I want. Thank you very much.
Not if my editing has anything to say about it.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, so today I am visiting a supervillain from 1990 who, it's not the leader, it's just leader.
Oh, yes, with the nasty head.
Yeah, so he has a very giant green head with
Yeah.
other green things on it.
Yeah.
It reminds me very much of the aliens from the To Serve Man episode of The Twilight Zone. So he is here in some sort of leotard with very large cuffs around the ankles and the wrists.
It was 90s.
Ooh, yeah, he is hitting that 90s fashion on point. And he's in some sort of lab, and his head is shining bright. So we see here that the leader, his real name is Samuel Stearns. He's 5'10", 140 pounds. He's fought 475 battles. He's won 181 and lost 203.
Why does that matter?
Ties, 91.
What?
I always feel like ties are like when there's a battle and like the villain ends up like disappearing at some point and being like, I'll be back. Like I feel like that's considered a tie.
I feel like that's a defeat. Because they gave up on whatever plan they were doing or whatever fight they were doing.
True. He also has a mustache. I'm just saying that. His arch enemy is the Hulk.
Yep.
And he first appeared in Tales to Astonish number 62 in December of 1964. So his exposure to gamma radiation,
Boo.
of course, gave the leader his phenomenal intellect, convinced that his genius entitles him to rule the world, megalomaniac. He's unleashed scheme after scheme to bend the human race to his will. With those whose intelligence is less than his, he turns them into his obedient slaves. It is ironic that the leader's plans have so often been thwarted by the mindless brute known as the Hulk. That's a read on the Hulk. And our did you know fact, the leader began his criminal career as a spy for a hostile foreign power.
Yeah.
They
He's
tend to
weird.
do that.
Is there no quote on this one?
No, the 1991s don't have a quote. They have a did you know. But I'm going to say something like, look at my head!
Yeah. I mean,
Something like
he's
that.
disgusting.
Or something like, you dumb-dumbs, I am smarter than you.
He doesn't talk like that.
How does he talk?
More
Has he been
like
animated?
No, I'm just saying in the comics, like reading him, he's very much more a megalomaniac and like I know more than you and whatever. I mean, he could actually probably talk.
And
like
then
that.
Hulk is like, Hulk smash, bam.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a funny thing with those two. Just a little side note: it's like he's the villain to the Bruce Banner inside of Hulk because he's super smart, and Bruce Banner is like a super genius.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when he's the Hulk, depending on who's writing him, he's kind of dumb. So
he has to come up with a plan to defeat him as Bruce Banner and then try and remember it when he becomes the Hulk.
If it would be great if it worked out that way most of the time. It doesn't.
No, just bashing stuff.
Good pick. All right. Well, see you next time. See you next week.
Oh man, where's going to happen next? Oh my God. Thanks for listening to A Bite Of. Artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at A Bite Of Pod and on Facebook at A Bite Of. If you have questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can email us at abiteofpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate and review to spread the word. Hope you join us next time on A Bite Of. Bye.